Things are messages from the deep. Presenting Dune, the major motion film. And that is funnier if you've seen the beginning of Doom. If you've not seen the beginning of Doom,
you don't understand.
Then you don't get it.
You
wouldn't understand.
It's good.
You wouldn't get it.
I actually am also kind of confused about it, honestly, because that throat voice singing is the Sardaukar guy, right? So
what's he know?
What does that have to do with, like, why would he be saying that?
I don't know.
I haven't finished the book yet. Maybe it makes sense.
That's what I've been told. I've been told once you get to the end of the book, you're like, oh.
Oh, that's why that guy was throat singing at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, that makes
it really ties it all together.
Yeah. You got to read the book. Speaking of Marshall, for those who don't know what we're talking about, we are getting spicy today.
So spicy.
Spicy. So at this point, if you're listening with kids, I'd recommend you turn it off. Go listen to a family-friendly podcast because this is going to be a spicy episode.
So spicy. You can see my planet cinema lounge is beautiful when the spice flows in the morning.
Yeah,
that's the words. I don't know.
But yeah, we're talking about the spice of the planet Arrakis.
Yeah,
and that sweet, sweet spice, which causes us all to...
This spice is what makes interstellar travel possible.
Which doesn't make all the sense, but you know.
I don't entirely understand that.
But we'll get there. We'll dive into it. Maybe you're confused too. You're probably confused, everyone listening, because it's kind of how this movie works a little bit.
Yeah, also... hey everyone, welcome to Cinema Lounge.
Oh yeah.
My name is Marshall.
I'm Ben.
And we are the hosts of Cinema Lounge, the official podcast of The Great Scub-Doo, the YouTube channel that we never touch. And mparish_art, the Twitch channel that I sometimes touch.
Yeah.
And it's great, and it's a good time. And we are here to talk
me,
about
Marshall, as in you touch my soul.
Yes, exactly.
My heart.
But we're here to talk about movies and movies that we think are great, and sometimes to kind of review movies, and that's kind of what we're doing today.
Yeah, sometimes we're in the mood for it. Don't tell us what to do with our podcast.
Yeah, it happens to be a movie review of a recent movie, but also a movie that I do. Spoiler alert. I think this is great.
Whoa, you are way ahead.
I know.
But I think it's pretty fun too. We'll get to that later on. Where do we start? What do we usually do at this point in the podcast?
I think we would do a silly intro, and then we would...
we tried to do that moments ago.
It was great.
It was really funny.
It was great. I tried turning noise canceling off, and I don't like it. I'm going to turn noise canceling back on. Hold on.
Marshall's optimizing
Ambient
himself.
sound control.
Oh, Marshall has the noise canceling headphones on. It's cool.
Better. You do too. We have the same for like $350 headphones.
I did spend the money on these, and I don't regret it.
I got them for $250.
Honestly, life-changing. Noise canceling headphones. I put it off for many years, and now my life is way better.
Yeah.
If I'm being real honest with you. Anyway, man, we could have a debate about using. Some people are big into just cheap earbuds that come with the phone, and I'm gonna say it. I guess everyone is unique. Everyone's different. I appreciate the noise canceling.
It's great. I would not use it all the time. I'll sometimes, like when I'm at the Meadowlark, like I was earlier today, I'll probably I'll wear them for a while and listen to some music, or like do the picture-in-picture thing you can do on the iPad Pro and have I've been watching Succession.
Nice.
And I'll have that in the corner while I'm drawing, and that's great. But then at a certain point, it's like it builds up this barometric pressure. Weirdly, you know what I mean? And then I take it off, and I just like,
you're like,
yeah. It's like it's super relaxing, and then it's also super relaxing to take it off after a while.
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Technology is cool. I wish I utilized it more. Do you ever feel that way? Like,
no.
Sorry, you were talking about your iPad picture-in-picture. I'm like, that's so great.
It is.
I was feeling that with my Apple Watch recently. I love my Apple Watch.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't utilize it all the time. Like, I kind of use it for a watch that gives me messages on my wrist. And I feel like there's a lot of features, or I use it for the workout stuff. I feel like there's a lot of stuff I could be doing with it that I don't.
Do you have the newer one where you're able to do offline Spotify or anything like that?
Oh.
Because I think it was only like the last, not the most recent one, but the last generation that you were able to get LTE on those.
Oh, I don't know if mine has LTE. I use Apple Music, so I think I can get stuff downloaded.
Oh, yeah.
Integrated a little bit better than Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify was always a question.
And now that I have AirPods, thanks, Dad.
AirPods.
I have AirPods. Look at me.
I.
You also have AirPods.
I also have AirPods.
Yeah. So, We're talking about things that people on the podcast probably don't care about. I'm having fun though.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast,
Yep.
everyone. We're
Yep.
here to talk about Dune, directed
Dune.
by Denis Villeneuve, and the book originally written by Frank Herbert, who wrote 3 or 4 of these novels, and then the rest of them are written by his son,
Yeah.
who is kind of doing the opposite of what Christopher Tolkien did, and is, making new things, but they're awful,
yeah.
and everyone hates them.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, so
what
if
the
you
internet has told me.
want to read all of the Dune things, you don't, and you shouldn't.
I started reading this. I had hoped to read and finish Dune before the movie came out. I didn't do that.
Me too.
I started it, really was loving it, and then I saw the movie. I got about 10% of the way through the book, according to my Kindle.
Are you listening or reading?
I'm reading.
I'm
so,
listening.
So I'm curious. Yeah, what is your difference listening to the book versus reading the book? How have you been tracking with it? Because I do have an Audible credit I could spend on it, but I haven't decided. So how has been listening to it? Because I've been liking reading.
I mostly got the audiobook because I have trouble with regular paper novels. It's hard for me to sit down and focus on it. Whereas I spend most of my life listening to podcasts and music, especially with what I do for work. I have a lot of time to just have something in my ears.
Yeah.
And I never really liked audiobooks, but ever since I kind of became a podcast acolyte, it's become maybe this would be fine. And I've enjoyed it. It's been good.
Do you feel like you pick up on all the things happening or no?
Yeah, I sometimes go back and re-listen to things, but more or less I'm getting everything. And it's good. I like it. I think that I would have trouble with it. I think it would be a little bit dry if I was just reading it as a book. But the way that, it's narrated or this is the weird thing about the audiobook. There's only, I think, this one recording of the audiobook from 2007.
Okay.
And it's strange because some chapters, there are full cast of voices.
Uh-huh.
And then the next chapter, it's just the narrator doing all of it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It is weird. So you'll have Lady Jessica be voiced by this woman, and Paul is this person, and Leto is whatever. Excuse me. Jeez, I'm sorry.
Mark that one. That's the.
No, we're keeping it in. It's too late.
Yep.
And then the next chapter, it's just all the main person, right? You're reading it. It's
Weird.
this is strange. So it's especially weird when there was one chapter that was mostly the Bene Gesserit, mother, whatever the leader, whatever you want to call her, and Jessica having a conversation. And then the next chapter, they're still talking. So it's it goes from these 2 different women talking to the narrator doing 2 different voices.
That is bizarre.
And I still track it, but it's a little bit weird.
Yeah, that's strange.
It's good though. I like it. It doesn't have, I don't think it has a soundscape a lot of the time. Sometimes it does. It's more of a traditional audiobook experience though, and less of the more performative stuff that you get these days.
Yeah.
But it's good and I'm liking it a lot.
Sweet.
I'm about 5 hours into it,
Nice.
which is a little bit past the strategy meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. I feel like it might be hard for me to keep track of all the things happening. Maybe we'll come back to this later, but we'll definitely come back to this later. Can I read a summary of the movie?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the movie, and we'll try to do a little bit of non-spoiler, and then we'll go into big spoilers.
Okay, so...
So go ahead, Ben, tell us what the movie's about.
Well, a mythic and emotionally charged hero's journey, Dune, tells the story of Paul Atreides. Is that how you say it? How does the audiobook say it?
That's how the audiobook says it. In
Great.
the movie, they say Atreides.
Oh.
Atreides is how they say it in the book.
That's
Who knows?
That's how I've been saying
Frank Herbert
it in
is
my
dead,
head. Yeah,
so-
well, R.I.P. Respect on his name. He is Paul, a brilliant and gifted young man born into a great destiny beyond his understanding, who must travel to the most dangerous planet in the universe to ensure the future of his family and his people.
Is Arrakis the most dangerous planet in the universe?
You know,
I feel like that's probably not true.
That's what Warner Bros. Says. So,
Okay.
As a physical place, it must be.
Maybe the hottest.
It says
Probably
that
not the hottest either.
If you weren't wearing the moisture recycling,
Still suits. There's
the
probably planets
recycling
that are
suit.
5,000 degrees and you could not step foot on. And that sounds more dangerous to me.
That is probably more dangerous. But is it dangerous if you're already dead? I feel like danger might have an element of staying alive to it,
Okay,
you know?
keep reading your little summary, buddy.
Anyway, As malevolent forces explode into conflict over the planet's exclusive supply of the most precious resource in existence,
Spice.
a commodity capable of unlocking humanity's greatest potential. Only those who can conquer their fear will survive.
Mandalorian?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
well, fear is the mind killer.
there you go. Main character is the hero's journey of Paul, who is a prince to a duke.
Yeah.
Who is the duke is told by the emperor of the galaxy,
The Imperium.
the Imperium, yeah, to go and take control of this place called Arrakis. It's all a ruse. Oh, well, I guess is it spoiler cast?
No. I mean, so basically, the way that it goes is that Duke Leto is played by Oscar Isaac, is in charge of the planet Caladan. The way that things work in this universe is that they're like Game of Thrones. There's houses, and instead of the Starks are in charge of Winterfell, and the is it the Tullys are at like High Rock or something?
River Run? Is that where the Tullys are?
That sounds like a Lord of the Rings thing, or is that Elder Scrolls? I don't know. River Run. I know that's not Game of Thrones, but that is a fantasy thing.
It might be. That might be Lord of the Rings.
I don't know, but the way that there's houses in charge of these areas, and a house is in charge of a planet. So there are the great houses that are like the big dogs in charge, and that's like the Atreides houses and the Harkonnen are kind of the main two that you see in the movie and in the main book. And
oh, hell yeah, it's River Run. I googled it. Suck it.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
They're a house Tully of River Run. The only reason I know that is because I had posters in high school of all of the Game of Thrones houses,
look at
all
you.
the things, and there's a little fish on theirs. Anyway,
you're a little fish.
yeah, I'm a little fish.
Don't say it like that.
Go ahead.
But there's the different houses that rule different planets that they're more or less given by the Emperor who rules the Imperium, and there's all kinds of cool deep lore there that we can get into later. But for like 80 years, the Harkonnen, who are like these barbaric people, have ruled Arrakis and been harvesting spice, and they've become just disgustingly rich through that. And for some reason, and it's not immediately clear in the movie at least, it's pretty obvious in the book. They kind of telegraph it a lot in the book. The Emperor says, hey, Harkonnens, you're off Arrakis, and I'm giving it to the Atreides. And they're like, frick, that's stupid. But everyone involved very clearly knows this is a trap. Because what's going to happen is we're going to go into, this is the Atreides talking, we're going to go to Arrakis and try to continue the spice manufacturing, and the Harkonnen will have sabotaged everything, and then we will fail, and it'll collapse the economy, and we will be knocked out. Because Duke Leto of the Atreides family is becoming too powerful, so the Emperor is trying to knock him down a rung.
Yeah, very mob scene-y a little bit. There's
it's
like a
very,
Godfather here,
yeah.
and he's trying to knock off the powerful people. It's kind of mobster-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a turf war kind of.
Political, corporate.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very political at times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you get to a lot of these like future worlds, and it's basically like everything is a corporation at a certain point.
Also, it's kind of like oil cartel a little bit.
Yeah.
Like people fighting over oil in the Middle East or something like that. It's kind of similar. There's this natural resource that you're getting rich off of, and you want to be in control of it. Kind of OPEC-y.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So basically, the whole thing is that the Atreides go into this. Duke Leto goes into this, knowing that it's a trap, and then is basically trying to figure out how do we, survive this, and how do we succeed in this, knowing this is a trap, and knowing that the Harkonnens have dark plans, and so does the Emperor. And that's kind of where the movie starts.
Yeah.
And then it really just goes from there.
Right. Exactly.
It's a really big story, and
Okay.
they don't explain the lore, and I love that.
Now pause.
Yes.
If people want to go see the movie still and you haven't, you're still listening, stop it. Stop listening. We're spoiler casting now.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you people, all of you people out there, go. You should see the movie.
You think?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think it's really, really good. It's some of the best science fiction that we've had on screen for a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
Because usually sci-fi these days is just like I always think of like After Earth for some reason, or like what's the Chris Pratt movie that just came out? Tomorrow War.
I don't know.
Like every science fiction thing that comes out is action. It's an action science fiction flick, and it's all about like quippy one-liners and stuff. Everything is trying to be Star Wars.
Yeah.
And
Even
I love Star Wars.
The first Dune movie, OG Dune movie,
a little
was
bit
trying to be more in that world.
Yeah.
Than the
which was
world
not
that
what
Dune
David
made.
Lynch would have wanted
Right,
to do.
right.
And we can get into that too. But ever since Star Wars came out, that's kind of been the imprint of sci-fi, and that's what everyone has tried to do. Whereas you get a more pure science fiction look, which is more like a Star Trek kind of thing, and more like this. And Denis Villeneuve is really good at that. He also did Arrival, which is a very good, pure like science fiction kind of movie. And this is what that feels like. This feels like science fiction literature, and it's very well done. Visually gorgeous. The soundtrack by Hans Zimmer, incredible. Everything about this is great.
Yeah.
I don't really have a downside for this movie.
Wow. I don't think I would recommend it to somebody who doesn't like movies. Sorry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sorry. Like, I think the people listening to this probably like movies.
Yeah.
I feel like people could go watch this, and if you're not into that kind of stuff, or if you're not into sci-fi,
Yeah.
like if you're just a regular old person going to watch it, I don't know if they'd like it automatically.
Sure.
I think they might be interested, but I think of my dad, for example. He saw this movie and he was like, okay. He was like not on board for like most of the movie, and then like the final 30 minutes, he was like super on board with it, and then it ended, and he was like,
Well, now what?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think people listening to the podcast should definitely go see it though,
Yeah.
because I'm assuming people who listen to the podcast are similar to us.
Yeah. And also, if you have HBO, it's just there for like a little less than a month now.
Yeah, November 21st, I think, is when it leaves.
When it goes away.
Yeah.
I got to rewatch it on my big TV because I saw it twice in the theater. But I'm excited to watch, and that's always amazing because it's big and the sound is incredible. But I'm excited to watch it on like my 4K HDR.
Yeah.
Because that's when you get to like really see the full.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I saw it on my 4K TV, and I now want to go see it in the theaters where I have the whole sound experience, and it's big. This is interesting, Marshall. This is a point I wanted to come back to.
Yeah. Are we getting into spoilers now officially?
This isn't a spoiler, but I mean, yeah.
We'll say if you don't want spoilers, stop forever.
Yeah.
Never listen to the
don't
podcast.
Come back
again.
ever again. We don't want you.
Yeah, you're fired.
I think the rewatchability is interesting.
Yeah.
Because similar to the book, it doesn't hold your hand with the world building. And so some things that they talk about in the first scenes of the book or the movie, from what I've been told about the book, because it's true of the movie for sure, you don't really understand until like 3/4 of the way through the movie. And you're like, oh, like now they keep using this word and now I know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Or like they throw out like some idea, like I can't remember what, see now I'm falling into this too. It's really hard to remember all the words for me that they use, because they'll throw out an idea of like the assassins are called one thing and they'll say it. Is that Matar? No. Those are like the almost like
the Mentats are the computer people.
Are the computer people.
Yeah.
They'll like throw that word out, and then like eventually you're like, oh, okay, I understand. The Mentat are like computery. Yeah. And I think the book definitely does that, where like all of a sudden page 1, you're like in the world. He's not babying you. He's not holding your hand. He's not explaining something outside of the text. He, throughout the course of the book, as chapters move on, start to add more ideas to things.
Yeah.
And so I think rereadability and rewatchability, even knowing what's going to happen, you're starting to have a better understanding of like what the story actually is.
Yeah.
So, for example, again, I'll go back to my dad. He watched it in a couple different sittings on HBO, and he got to the end and he texted me. He's like, I don't really know what was going on for most of the movie.
Yes.
And so I think because of that, it's fun to like be exploring and understanding the world as it goes and builds, but it also gives you a reason to go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
And there's just pretty stuff to look at the more
Dude,
you watch it and listen to.
It's so pretty.
Really cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I saw it the second time with Bill and Ben.
Oh, nice.
Weber, not you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Clarification for the audience, not for you. You know you weren't there.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I had talked about the Batman movie coming out soon, and Ben is all burnt out on superhero stuff. He's like, yeah, I really just honestly don't really care about the new Batman or anything. Yeah. And then the trailer came on, and he was like, whoa!
Nice.
And he goes, man, I wasn't hyped, but now I'm hyped, if only for the cinematography.
Yeah.
And after the fact, I was like, hey, Ben, guess what? You're talking about how pretty this movie was and how you're excited for the Batman cinematography.
Yeah.
Same person. Boom.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
But yeah, I don't think this guy's worked with Denis before either.
Oh, really?
That I might have been on Sicario. I don't think he was on Prisoners. I don't
Who's
remember.
running it?
You look it up.
What's the name
Dune,
for
director of photography.
Dune.
But yeah, the movie's really, really good.
His name is Greg Fraser. Grieg? Grieg? Greig? Anyway.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, it was really good. And we're talking about the cinematography. Gorgeous looking movie. Extremely, extremely gorgeous. But it's not like flashy, which I think is cool.
Oh, Matt Reeves.
Yeah.
Is that who you're thinking of?
He's the director of the movie.
Oh, of the Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's probably who you're talking about. Not this guy. Okay, anyway, sorry. Keep talking.
Okay. But the it's very big, but it's not flashy. Like they're really impressive visuals, but they're not like things that I don't know. It's hard to describe. Like it's impressive, but not in a way that's immediately wowing you. Does that make sense?
It's not like big sweeping anything.
Yeah, there's not like crazy, like it's not stylized. Oh, that's it. Like everything is shot very plainly.
Interesting.
Like it's a real world,
Right.
as opposed to like Raiders of the Lost Ark, where everything is framed and stylized super intensely.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Also kind of a bit of the storytelling, I guess, too.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Because it is supposed to take place. This isn't like a Star Wars where it's like a made-up world.
Right.
This is like 20,000 years in our future.
Right.
It says 10,000 in the beginning of the movie, but that's not AD. That's like BG or whatever in their universe. So that's 20,000 years in our future.
Gotcha.
Because there were 10,000 years, and then there were these wars where there all kinds of stuff with computers, and now there's not computers because machines that are made to think like a person are against the law. Computer stop. Computer stop. I hate it.
Hey, man, you named your computer. So.
I did. And is it talking now?
No. That's
Okay. But there's just all kinds of weird deep lore in there. Cinematography is great. What about performances, Ben? What do you think?
I don't know if I have an opinion. Good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like, I think the role of Paul is hard to pull off because of what he is and what's going on within like the hero's journey.
He's
of,
a little bit of a blank slate.
A little bit, but also like kind of emotionless. And that's kind of like the role is like, he's supposed to be analytical, but like learning, because that's how he's been trained, is to be an analytical person. But then he's like learning like the spiritual side of things. And there's like a big, like in the book, there's a literal change that happens from the spice for him. Like he gets stronger and he like begins thinking like he has more control of his dreams and sees more futures and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I think that is hard to pull off. Yeah. Question mark? I don't know. I think the casting is great.
I think little Timothée Chalamet. He's a good little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw The French Dispatch.
I have not seen it yet. I heard it was good.
It's fun. It's just like a bunch of fun little Wes Anderson stories. So I mean, like, can you go wrong with a bunch of fun little Wes Anderson stories?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Good. I think it was a nice. I think it was a nice thing.
Yeah.
The stories were neat. It was worth my time. Went up to the Alamo Draft House in Papillion to see it.
Ooh.
I love Alamo Draft House.
Never been still.
What do you think of the acting?
I thought it was good. I don't know who I think was the best. Mm-hmm. Well, I do. It was Jason Momoa.
You think so?
Yeah, dude. I don't love Jason Momoa in anything else I've ever seen of him. Like nice. Aquaman, I find kind of annoying. I think it's kind of dumb that they tried to turn him into a Wolverine.
Khal Drogo
is good. It's fine.
You just need a big beefy Hawkeye. So.
Yeah. But he was so good in this. He's so good as Duncan Idaho, who's just this cool guy who's super dedicated to like his cause and to his lord, you know?
Yeah, right.
And like I
kind of rough
when
and tumble,
he died, I was sad, man.
Especially because
you
saw it coming because of the vision early in the movie, like when there was like the bug.
Even though his visions like don't necessarily come true,
right? You like saw it happening, you're like, oh god, please no, please no, please
like they're very symbolic. They're not literal,
yeah.
which is interesting. But like it's sad because like you really start to like him, and then he just feels like this is a long movie. It doesn't feel that long, and the characters, you grow so attached to them, and they're gone so quick.
Yeah.
Like the same thing with Duke Leto. Like Oscar Isaac,
Yeah.
does an incredible job.
Yeah. I thought the dialogue scene with him and Paul in like the graveyard was really neat. And
it was good.
You kind of saw that connection that they had.
Yeah, it condenses a lot of the different conversations that happen in the early chapters of the book as well. Going back to it the second time after having read it, I was like, oh, that's from that scene, but then this is from later, and that's from later.
They do a good job. I think at any movie book adaptation, a huge part of it is just getting at the heart, at least in my opinion, getting at the heart of what the book's about. And like the heart of the book for that is like, we need to convey that there is like a love here, that there is like some like mutual there's a relationship, and it's like or even like for example,
you're like a mutual respect. Because even then when Paul is like, well, what if I don't want to be the next
he's like, then
Duke?
you're my son, and that's enough. Like,
it's interesting because there's a really large sense of like legacy in that scene, because they're at the graveyard with all these previous Atreides, specifically his grandfather, and well, Leto's father, Paul's grandfather, and it's interesting looking at the parallels through all of them, because it's like in the book you are very clearly told, oh, that bowl that we keep, the head of the bowl that we keep up there, that's the one that killed him. But you don't ever get told that in the movie. But there's a large focus on the bowl. You see it constantly, and there's these long shots just looking at it.
Which is probably because of whatever is the director, Villeneuve.
Yeah,
his like love for the book and his love. Yeah, like I think that comes through, which is similar to Lord of the Rings, where like I think everybody who was like in charge of writing and producing Lord of the Rings really loved the Lord of the Rings.
Well, and you see all these behind the scenes clips of Peter Jackson being like, give me the book real quick, and he's like pulling through it literally while they're shooting. Yeah, like, oh, it's this way.
I'm curious how much that played a role in some of this stuff.
What do you think of the symbolism of the bowl?
For what? Sorry.
Well, because they go to it a lot. So I have an idea of what I think that he's like kind of...
What he's trying to like play off of?
Yeah.
I haven't thought of it. Please share.
Because that's the bowl. Because he talks about like, oh, and grandfather liked to fight bulls for fun and see where that got him. It's like, okay, it got him killed. Interesting. And that's the one, they keep it with them as like a reminder. So I think it's interesting then that the thing that was their downfall was someone from within. Like something that they're keeping close to them, which was Dr. Yue.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then there was one time, the last time I watched it, I kind of chuckled audibly because there was a specific cut where Paul was looking at this little ornament of a man fighting a bull, and then it was kind of a long shot, and then the next cut was just boom, Dr. Yue.
Gotcha.
I thought,
that's interesting.
Yeah. But then even
keeping
when
the thing that can kill you close.
I think in the shot where Leto, crunches the tooth, there is then a focus on the bull. So it's interesting, that whole idea of, embracing your own end. I don't know. It's interesting. Because I guess like Paul is denying it this entire time. Paul is denying this destiny, this legacy that he thinks that is being manufactured. But meanwhile, it's unavoidable. It's coming at you, and you can't stop it. It's a raging bull, and you can try to get out of the way, but it's gonna gore you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some sort of reconciling with the big thing of it is like his destiny. I mean, like the whole thing is like finding his destiny a bit, or like what's the phrase that they call it? It's not like a.
Do they not call it destiny? Or something? Is
it destiny or like not a messy destiny? I think there's like a specific phrase.
Oh, they keep using. They say something in the book. A dark.
Oh,
it's not dark destiny. It's like. Oh, I don't think they ever say it in the movie, but they say he talks about it repeatedly in the book.
Yeah.
Like, is this the dark something that is coming towards me?
Yeah, I don't remember what they call it.
Yeah, dark. I don't know.
Anyway, so that's interesting. Like displaying, the fact that our end is inevitable.
Yeah.
And, That's a piece of the legacy that we leave.
Yeah, but that's also kind
of
of like the fear thing. The fear is the mind killer. It's the little death that leads to obliteration.
Yes.
So you can be afraid, or you can just embrace all of this stuff, which also leads into, they can see the trap coming. They see the bull charging towards them, but they have to go to it.
Right.
If they I think he says at one point, I don't know if it's in the book or in the movie, it's starting to blur now. Like maybe we could have cut and run and see what would have happened, but we're here now and we have to figure out what to do.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Wow, that's cool. That's sweet. I hadn't thought about that. Good connection.
Thanks. That's a high five.
Thanks.
I guess I'm just an intellectual or something.
Yeah.
I'm a genius. Film maniac.
What else I had been thinking about? From a cinematography perspective, I think when I see movies like this that are taking place on some foreign planet, a thought that I almost always have is the fact that all of this is filmed on Earth.
Yeah.
And when it's so beautiful or so like insanely like the Arrakis shots, like up in like the bluffy kind of rocky areas or the sand or like whatever. I think a thought I always have is like, wow, like the only place you can find something that looks this alien or this foreign is on Earth. Like I felt that way when I went to Moab this summer a little bit.
Sure.
Like, I feel like I can't even say it feels like I'm on another planet because I need to recognize that Earth is the weirdest freaking place.
Right?
And
I think there's a whole Netflix series that's just that.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
Okay.
There is a Nat Geo series called One Strange Rock.
That's what I'm talking about.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Something along those. It's pretty freaking wacky. And I think it's a good reminder for me that I don't know, like instead of like searching out there for whatever, like Earth is just so freaking beautiful, and it makes life feel very small and very cool. Yeah. And anyway, so that's a thought, because I did some research. I mean, very moderate research, but where they filmed in Hungary,
nice.
Jordan. They filmed some of like the wadi kind of scenes, like the rocky kind of, some of the rocky or sandier areas was Jordan. Caladan was Norway.
I was gonna ask that. Yeah, that tracks. That looks like Norway.
And then United Arab Emirates for some other backdrop for Arrakis stuff.
Interesting.
But anyway, so kind of all over the place.
It's
just
it's cool that it wasn't just a green box too, and you can really tell.
I think they do some stuff.
Oh, certainly.
2,000 visual effects shots were created. Used a chroma key. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's green screen.
Yeah, green screening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so over 2,000 were green screen. But
yeah, I wonder, because that, like, the palm trees are probably on a soundstage. I don't know. That's interesting.
Anyway,
yeah,
kind of fun, kind of cool.
Let's see. What do we talk about? Music, dude. The
Soundtrack,
music is so
cool.
good.
Yeah,
and it bleeds into the sound design as well.
I was gonna say that it's subtle, it's seamless, it's making me feel things on the inside. Yeah, that I'm realizing that I'm suspenseful, or I'm excited, or I'm in awe.
Well, and Hans Zimmer was super passionate about this too.
Okay,
because he was gonna work with Chris Nolan on Tenet, and then turned it down to work on Dune because he's a huge fan of the novel.
Cool.
So it was like a massive passion project for him, and you can really tell it's really, really good. Like the Bene Gesserit theme is terrifying. Yeah. And it's so good. Yeah. The moment when they come back to Caladan and their like den mother, there's a name for her, I don't remember, magistrate, whatever.
Something mother. It is something mother.
And she comes out of that ship silhouetted with the rest of their little witches.
That whole thing.
And you get that like and it's like terrifying. And it's in the theater with that sound just like blasting at you. It's so good.
I really need to do that. Yeah. I'm really excited about it.
It's amazing. That's really good. The most epic moment of all time for me in a movie, other than like the Avengers Assemble moment in Endgame, which, still makes me like tear up every single time.
I cried. Yep.
So good. Yep. Is when the big fight has begun, the Harkonnen have attacked Arrakis, and Gurney and all of his guys. Thanos, Endgame.
Yeah.
The Gurney is walking with just like a hardcore dude who's ready to go with all of his dudes, and he's not even got any armor on. He's just there with a sword, and then the Harkonnen are coming at him. And he turns around to his guys and goes, on me, go. And he runs, and the bagpipes with the Atreides theme song comes in, and it's amazing.
Really
it's
powerful.
so powerful, and I'm just, both time I saw it, I was like, oh my
shivers.
gosh. Do you think that Gurney's alive? Because I haven't gotten to that point in the book.
Yeah.
I think that we don't see him die. Which makes me think that he's alive because we see Yue die. We see everyone, so many major characters, we see their death on screen. And the general rule, if you don't see a person die on screen, they're alive. I think Gurney is still alive. I haven't seen the 1984 movie, and I haven't gotten further in the book.
Yeah, me either.
So I don't know. But I hope that he is because I really love him.
Yeah. Plot-wise, gotta be. I won't rule it out.
It would be interesting to see. How would he come back? What would he come back as?
What else? Why would they? Yeah.
Because we can speculate too, I guess. I don't know. I just love.
I'm trying to think from a hero's journey perspective, how that's useful to the hero's journey. If that's the formula we're following.
And is he escaping or is he being captured? Maybe he'll be at a siege. I don't know. You know, but you would think that Stilgar would have said something about that or something.
I don't know.
I really hope the fact that they don't kill him on screen makes me think that
he has to be alive.
Yeah, it'd be weird if they just
don't ever resolve that. That would be like a question mark at
he's
the end
running at them with the theme music, and then this is my one thing that I kind of don't like is that there's a very stereotypical a huge explosion that covers the whole screen,
and that's that's the segue out.
That's a little weird. Yeah, that's a little dumb.
Yeah. That feels like for the movie that feels pretty natural for like you don't really notice a lot of like big cut scenes like that feels like a big
okay
and we're
all right Denis.
I'm excited. Speaking of which, they have greenlit Dune part two,
which they must have already before because it was labeled part 1 on day 1.
Also, like the ending of the movie was just
halfway through the book.
I mean, also how much do you do that because you're trying to force their hand to give you the funding for number 2?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's a movie that I would have been surprised to have gotten a sequel, but I think that like this was probably just a case of the studio being like, screw it, we're just gonna go all in and make it.
Yeah. How do you feel? I feel like as I've read a lot of internet feelings about it, that like this is like a big statement in terms of somewhat original storytelling, or like somewhat of like, we're not making a sequel for another movie, we're gonna choose to greenlight the next part of Dune, or we're gonna support a passion project instead of a something we know we'll make money on.
I think that's stupid. I think that's stupid because I mean, for one, this is a passion project for Denis. The dude's all in with this. And, you know, it's not like this is a superhero movie. I understand people like Martin Scorsese and whoever being like, and even Denis, I think, has said something about the Marvel movies recently. And then Marvel fans were like, I'm not going to go see Dune because this guy's stupid and he makes bad movies. Like, you haven't seen a single thing he's done.
Yeah.
Because everything this guy does is perfect. It's a miracle that this has gotten such good reviews and people have gone to see it because everything that Denis Villeneuve does is perfect and no one goes to see it. Prisoners, incredible.
Yeah, haven't seen it. You say Arrival?
Arrival, incredible.
Haven't seen it.
The Enemy, art house, crazy, stupid weirdness, and I love it. Sicario, great.
Also haven't seen it. I'm going to add 2 of those to my
You need to see
my
Prisoners.
movie list.
Maybe my favorite movie. Hugh Jackman should have gotten an Oscar for that.
Hugh Jackman?
Yes. It's amazing.
Prisoners, adding to want to watch list.
It's super intense. It's great. But no, I think that I can understand the criticism of like Marvel movies because there's so many of them and there's so many superhero movies and big action blockbusters or whatever that are taking up the theater space, and it's hard to get like whatever made anymore because people just want to see whatever. It's like I wouldn't put this in that category. Like I was talking earlier, like this is not the Tomorrow War. This is
Right.
not some kind of science fiction schlock.
Yeah.
This is like the all-time science fiction novel.
Yeah.
This is the one. And they're making this huge epic out of it. This is like,
Right.
would you be saying this about the Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
You know? Then this is like the Lord of the Rings science fiction.
Right.
So I think that I understand the criticism for some things, but to this, I think that's ridiculous. And you're not going to get art house movies in the big theater 90% of the time anyway.
Right.
A24 is an anomaly. It's crazy that they exist and are making the crazy stuff that they do. The fact that The Green Knight and Lamb even exist
I'm excited about Lamb. I don't think I'll see it.
crazy. I'll see it. I want to see
Really?
it. Yeah. I've heard that it's just like A24 unhinged.
Really?
And I'm all about that.
Every time I see the trailer, I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, Connor
Why?
Connor refuses to see it. He's not gonna, he's like it's too it looks demonic and I'm not going to mess with that.
It's like an old folk tale, right? Isn't it? Like
I don't know.
I think it's based on an actual like old ancient
Danish.
folk tale. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway,
I'm all in.
spoopy.
Yeah. It looks nuts. But yeah, I understand the criticism. I disagree. That's what I have to say about that.
Cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think? How do you feel now as this is a movie that has definitely succeeded in the box office, better than recent movies,
Yeah.
who have been trying to negotiate and wade their way through the direct to video and theater stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff was way underperforming.
Yeah.
I mean, even like Bond didn't.
Well,
they lost a lot of
that
money.
leads to a lot
That's-
of that's a lot of different contributors.
Anyway, how do you feel that this movie or what are your thoughts on that situation overall of like this balance of direct to video versus things in the theaters and options for the consumer versus how does that affect what gets made and all that kind of stuff?
I like the movie theater experience. I like going to the theater and seeing a movie. I
Right.
really enjoy it. I've
Right.
seen this twice in the theaters. I have a really nice home setup. Like a really nice home setup. I'm not bragging, it's just true.
Yeah.
And like it would be very easy for me to sit down at my big TV and surround sound and everything
Right.
and just watch this movie. And it might even be a superior experience. I don't know. But I really love the movie theater experience and getting like the big sound, getting the big screen in the dark room, going with a friend.
Yeah.
You
right.
know,
being
and
in a room of other people experiencing this,
Yeah.
even if I don't know them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like sometimes the reactions of other people can be funny. Like when me and Connor went to see Eternals, there was this one guy who had a really weird laugh, and there were a couple times that he just like died laughing,
Heck
and
yeah.
it was funnier than anything that happened in the movie.
Wow.
But that's great, and like that's a memory, and I have that in my head now.
Right.
And I just recalled that and laughed as hard as I
Yeah.
did that time.
Yeah.
I don't have that here in my house.
Yeah. There is also something to be said about the pressure to not be on my phone in a movie theater compared to at home.
Yeah.
I think I am tempted to have my phone out at home and I
Yeah, that's
do
a
pay less
difficult
attention.
thing.
Yeah.
And depending on the movie, like, yeah, I'll sit there and watch, whatever garbage Warner Brothers things that's getting slapped on HBO.
Yeah.
I'll watch that and check my phone every once in a
Right,
while.
right.
Dune, I want to focus in.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad, I want to focus in. All this, like, the stuff that I'm more interested in. I don't know. I didn't see Suicide Squad in theaters. I saw it on my TV.
Yeah, me too.
But I don't know. And I think that there's also a case where, like, this is definitely, like, a big movie.
Yeah.
And it should be seen on a big screen.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a fitting place for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to go see any new movie recently.
Yeah. But I don't know. I also just like seeing things in the theaters. Because then, like, a few years ago, 2-3 years ago, I Schindler's List. It was the anniversary of
Oh,
Schindler's List
yeah,
or something.
yeah,
It was at the
yeah.
Grand. I took Weber and we went to
Nice.
see it. I got in the car and I played the theme song. And I was
Oh,
like,
no.
get ready to feel this way for 2.5 hours.
Dude,
But it's so good seeing that movie. Like, it's not like this big pretty movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very good looking.
Right.
But it's not like a big epic or anything.
Right.
But it's very, seeing a movie on the big screen has a different effect.
Yeah. Yeah, I do wish I would pay a little bit more attention to stuff that's getting replayed at theaters. That is
Yeah.
something that Alamo Drafthouse does really well
Yeah.
compared to like Marcus here in Lincoln. They're like, a whole part of their shtick is re-releasing things and making events out of different
Yeah.
cult classic movies. And
Well, and Marcus does do that, and it's been a long time because of COVID.
They don't market it.
I would see it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Every time, yeah. Because I follow them on Facebook and I have the app. I don't get notifications from the app, but I would see it on Facebook whenever like this is coming to theaters. So
Gotcha.
it's maybe not like as obvious, but I'm seeing it. But I'm me.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Ooh, can I tell you? Speaking of movie theaters, while we're
Tell
on
me
this
about movie
topic,
theaters while we're on this topic.
I went to Kearney with my.
I've been there.
With my wife.
My wife. Nice.
And she has a movie theater. Kearney has a movie theater called the World.
The World. Yeah.
It's really cool. It was reopened.
Yeah, I haven't been there since they redid the thing.
It's so the guy who runs it or owns it is a producer on the Blacklist.
He was a writer.
Yeah, I think he maybe was just a writer.
Might have been a co-creator.
Maybe,
even.
I think it might have been part of his idea. Yeah. That's how he got the money. I think to buy the movie theater.
Yeah.
And it's a nonprofit. Which
Oh,
is
really?
interesting. So like popcorn, large popcorn, $3. Bottle of water, 50 cents. Like,
and it evens out when you travel 3 hours. To the Kearney.
Exactly.
It's the same as just going here.
If I'm in town for seeing my relatives, then it works out.
Me too.
But we went and saw for Halloween. They were playing
Halloween.
They were not playing Halloween. We did watch Halloween at her parents' house that weekend.
Halloween Kills or Halloween?
Just original Halloween.
Good.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah. Way more boobs than I remembered, but that's a side note.
Love John Carpenter.
Thanks a lot, 70s and 80s movies for your boobies.
Yes.
Anyway, we saw freaking Hocus Pocus, which is a great Halloween movie. It's such a good Halloween movie.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I think it's a little spooky and scary and also like funny and silly and like rooting for the teenagers. And it's got like some
I've not
history
seen
stuff.
it.
What?
It's never been one because it was one of those that would have played on like ABC Family or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Never got there.
Yeah. It's a top-notch Halloween movie. It checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
There's witches. There's like historic Halloween tied in with modern Halloween with like teen romance coming of age.
Yeah.
A new kid in town situation.
Great song.
It's yeah. It is. I hadn't seen it until last year. I don't know what I was doing with my childhood.
Come on, what are you doing?
It was good. It was so good. It was so good. You haven't seen it? You never watch it.
Yeah, two Jay Leno's in the room.
Oh my god! I got cars. So many cars.
And I got comedians and coffee.
Oh, and now I'm Jerry
Seinfeld.
Get in my car.
I was gonna get into my vehicle.
Hello, I'm President Obama. I'm in the car with you. Getting
that is
coffee.
A good episode. I do like that one.
It is good.
Where you're just like, we're not going to let you go driving.
Yeah.
With President Obama. It's like, but can we just? And even Barack is like, it's okay. Can we just? We just want to go right out there. It's like, sir, we can't let you do that.
And they go do it, don't they?
No, they just they drive like a loop around the lot, around the Rose Garden.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's funny.
Okay.
But Dune.
Movie. Oh, I went to the World in Omaha.
Yeah.
It's an old movie theater, one screen.
Yeah.
They'll play every once in a while. They'll play a new movie, so they're playing The French Dispatch for like a weekend. But since it's a nonprofit, everybody who works there volunteers.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
So they'll volunteer just because like small town Kearney thing.
Yeah.
So it's super cheap, and then they'll play stuff like older movies, Hocus Pocus. I think for Thanksgiving they're playing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
That's fun.
And like that kind of stuff. Anyway, it was a great movie experience. I wish we had something better than the Joyo here. I wish we had I wish we had a better single screen thing that did cool stuff.
The Joyo's gotten crappier somehow.
I would love to purchase a movie theater.
Should we buy the Joyo and remodel it?
I think we should buy the Joyo. We're going to be starting a crowdfunding. But that would be so much something. It could be something.
I don't have money for that.
It could be a passion
project. It's a dream. If something happens, we can try to buy the Joyo. I saw Star Wars at the Joyo. It was pretty cool. But Dune is really good, and you should see Dune. I like it a lot. 49 minutes.
Perfect. Great.
What else do I have to say about Dune?
I don't know. I feel like we covered all the bases. It's hard to... It's hard to talk. Okay, here's a question.
Tell me your question.
How do you think...
You're good at questions on the podcast.
This is one of my favorite questions to ask about a movie. Because I think really good movies speak to what it means to be human.
Yeah.
Human experience. even though this is many thousand years in the future,
Yeah.
how does the Dune movie speak to the audience? How do we connect with it as humans to the story of Dune?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think there's a certain element of, like embracing what comes at you, whether you like it or not.
With the horns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I think is interesting about the movie that's kind of different from the book is that in the movie, it's not explicitly like said that everything is mystical and it is like Paul's destiny. Like there is a certain aspect in the movie of, is this like mystical destiny or is this actually just all being manipulated and he happens to be like fulfilling some of these prophecies and whatever.
Right.
Just because, like, is this his destiny or is he just deciding at a certain point, like, screw it. I'm the Maudaib. Like that's what it is.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's interesting. The idea of just like them forcing this prophecy into reality, because that is like, even in the book, like that's what they're doing. Like Jessica wasn't supposed to have a son. She was only supposed to bear daughters, apparently.
Right.
But their grand machinations, dark purpose. That's what it is.
Dark purpose.
Yeah, I think that's is that what it was?
Yeah, what it is.
Yeah, this dark purpose that Paul feels this sense of in the book is very clear, whereas in the movie it's less so. Like it's more ambiguous, which I don't know. By the end, you'll probably get to a point where it's like it is destiny.
I think in the book too, he sees a bunch of possibilities for the future, and like.
Anyone could come through, depending.
The route in which, those possibilities happen.
Sure.
There is like some agency, which at the beginning, with Jason Momoa, and he's like, he's talking about how he saw a dream where he dies. And he's like, nah, kid, it's like, we all take actions. Like we all take actions that determine the future.
Sure.
And maybe there is some level of this movie coming to grips with like the feeling of fate.
Sure.
And like being in charge of your own destiny and the way that those sometimes intertwine where they cross paths.
Yeah.
That could be kind of a human experience.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I don't know.
I think it does. They speak to the human experience
at
some level. I feel moved by it.
Yes.
But
my bowels are moved by it. Boom, it's a poop joke.
Bowels. I thought you said balls in a weird way.
That's weird, man.
My balls.
It's just so loud. The sound waves.
Yeah, my balls.
My entire... We're going to move on from this. Oh, man.
Anywho.
But yeah, I loved this movie. I'm very excited to keep listening to the book and for part 2 in 2023, I think is when they've said.
Sounds so far away.
Yeah, it does.
It's okay, though.
We got other movies coming out.
Yeah.
But yeah, should we talk about what's coming up on the show?
Yeah.
Because I have a few ideas.
You share those ideas.
Have you watched The Witcher?
I have not watched The Witcher yet, but season 2
comes out December 17th.
I now have something to binge. That's great because I have run out of things.
It's really good.
Cool.
It's really good. It has... by the way, everyone, see the movie. That's our thoughts on Dune. I love it. Ben, yes or no? Dune, yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huge yes.
Yeah.
I'm very close to putting this on my perfect movie list.
Whoa!
But I feel like I need the full story.
I really know what quantifies your personal your.
It's a little bit nebulous, and I think that's it's going to be different for everyone. It's not like I'm making an objective list,
Yeah.
Like for me, this is a perfect movie. Maybe I know that I Grand Budapest I said is a perfect movie. Raiders I said was a perfect movie.
Yep.
Raiders might be Raiders or Prisoners is. Maybe my favorite movies.
Wow.
They're wildly different.
Okay, now I need to see Prisoners because it's on my list.
It's so good, Ben. But The Witcher comes out December 17th. I would love to talk about the first season. It is really good. It's definitely a season 1 of a Netflix show. They don't quite have the budget. So there are some things that look a little cheap. Some of the CGI isn't great at times.
Okay.
But it's very good. The performances are great. Henry Cavill is fantastic as Geralt. There was a little bit of doubt at first if he could do it, just because we're used to seeing him as like clean-cut Superman.
Yeah.
But he does an amazing job. He was born to play it.
Perfect.
Yeah, because I mean, he loved the video games and then found out there were books. And then when he found out that they were making a show, he was like, I want to be it.
That's
Like,
pretty sweet.
I want to do it.
That's so fun when people get to do things like that.
Right? And you can tell. And then, Andrew Sapkowski, the author of the books, has come out and been like, this dude is like, Viggo Mortensen to Aragorn.
That's
like,
so sick.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's very good. Everyone is very well cast in the show. It's a very good adaptation of the book, actually, the books. I've read the first couple. But yeah, that's really good. And you can tell from the trailer for season 2, they really got that season 2 money. The first season was really successful and they are all in. They're fully developing all of like the 6 seasons they have planned out.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
So they already have thought.
Yeah, they're doing the entire saga.
Nice. Okay, that's good too.
Yeah.
So that they don't have to get to season 5 and wonder how many more of these.
Is it going to go poorly?
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of spin-offs too. There was an animated movie, which was
cool.
really good.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Have
but
you
it's
seen
great.
the Star Wars anime yet?
Visions?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, okay, cool.
For the most part. They're all, it's like an anthology series. Everyone is different from different famous anime studios and creators.
Gotcha.
Some of them are better than others. One of them in particular I really loved. The first one is fantastic, but there's another one that really lends itself to a feature.
Okay.
And the guy who did it has talked about how he has it fully scripted out. And I'm like, I would love to see that.
Sweet.
None of them are canon though, yet. But yeah, Witcher is December 17th. So if you watch that, I would love to talk about The Witcher.
Cool. Let's do it.
And then Cowboy Bebop, the
Also
live action
has
series,
been
comes out next week.
Wow. Okay, that's way too late for me. It's too late to get.
That's fine.
My friends in high school, so like 7 years ago,
Yeah.
8 years ago, watched Cowboy Bebop, Cowboy Bebop, and I never.
The original series is on Netflix
I've
now.
listened to the soundtrack.
It's so good.
Which is very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The original series is on Netflix now. And it's only 26 episodes, 20 minutes. So you could get through that as well. That's also, it's very, very good. It's the least anime I've ever seen. Like, it's
Cool.
very Western.
I've heard it's a good anime to start with.
It's a
for
great
somebody who-
gateway show. Yeah. So that's very exciting. I'm working on a piece for that, an art piece that I'm hoping to have finished. It's going very well.
Cool.
I got a big chunk of it done today. December 17th is also the release of Spider-Man No Way Home. We'll definitely be talking
Nice.
about that.
Yeah.
We'll bring Connor in for that one if we can. What else is
That's gonna go
coming?
fast.
There's a lot of
Also,
stuff
how
coming
was
soon.
Eternals?
It was fine.
Okay.
It wasn't as bad as some of the reviews are saying. It's being review bombed pretty intensely because gay. Which, have your own opinions, but that it doesn't matter and who cares. It just isn't a great movie. And the unfortunate thing is that now all of the right-wing media is being like, see what happens when you go woke, because it's a very diverse cast.
Right.
It's like, well, actually, no, the cast is great. The movie just isn't very good.
Right.
The reason the movie isn't good is not because there's a deaf person and a black person and a gay person and a
Right.
woman. And like, it's because the script isn't very good. It's overstuffed. But that's, a narrative that's hard to avoid. But then all the people on the left are going to be like, look at the diversity. It's incredible. This movie's perfect. And you're seeing both of those narratives. And then you get me in the middle. I'm like, guys, it's really like diversity is great. And diversity is not the reason that it's not very good. It's not very good. And that's not because it's diverse. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Woke people. It's okay. It's just not great, which is unfortunate. The characters are great. I really love the characters. The cast is genuinely great.
Cool.
The deaf girl whose name I can't remember, her character's name is Makari, steals the show.
Oh,
She's
cool.
so good.
Sweet.
Yeah, her and Gilgamesh, who is the big, strong guy from Train to Busan.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of things coming up. Me and Connor are going to talk about Galaxy Quest at some point.
Nice.
But yeah, so you can expect that. And we'll see. We'll get back to like regular format episodes again too, with like talking about movies that we
things
think are
we
great.
like. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, I think that's more or less the show. We're almost exactly at an hour.
We're freaking fine tuning things. We are in the zone.
We're in a real Dune zone.
Dune zone, because we're spicy.
Welcome to the Spicy Dune Zone. Hey everybody, welcome to our Spicy Dune Zone. Hey everyone, welcome to the Dune Zone. I'm here to tell you about my new project called Dune Zone. It's the project where everyone shows up and we all do some spicy Dune.
It's the project of the Great Scub Dude, the YouTube channel we hardly touch.
There's a YouTube channel we hardly touch called The Great Scub Do. YouTube.com/The Great Scub Do is the YouTube channel that we hardly touch. Welcome to the Dune Zone, everyone. We should have done this at the beginning.
We should Anyway, sorry. Anyway, we're good.
Okay.
I was gonna say this. I don't know why, but that made me think of a new project or something, and then made me think of playing D&D and recording it. And anyway,
I want to do that. I also think it could be fun to just do more of like a very loose like talking show. I think that could be fun.
I just had an idea.
Yeah, tell me about it.
My dad apparently up in our attic somewhere has a role-playing James Bond game.
Yeah, we talked about that on the Goldfinger episode. Literally on your first episode 17.
Goldfinger.
He's a man whose fingers are made of gold. We made that same joke as well.
Yeah. Anyway, I remember that. That's why I said it.
This is us making callbacks to episode 17. It was Ben's first episode. At that time, it was Ben and Marshall do a podcast, and now it is Cinema Lounge. I believe that started around episode 23, maybe? I don't remember. Wow. It was the episode... No, I think episode 23 might have been Marshall Does a Podcast, which is when I had the epiphany that we should turn it into Cinema Lounge. Yeah. That's when I first introduced the soundscape, and then after that, I introduced the idea of the Cinema Lounge.
Backstory. Anyway, so...
This is my new favorite bit.
I think we should wrap this up, because I'm just going to start making inappropriate jokes, and no one wants that.
We have to do that before and after the show.
Yeah. And know what else we do before and after the show? We talk about how good the show is. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a great show that we... Okay, don't break the table, please.
Nope. I'm putting my feet down.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the show. It's been a good time. We've talked about Denis Villeneuve's Dune, and it's been a good time. Maybe we will watch the 1984 film, but I kind of don't want to watch it until I finish the book.
Yeah. I don't have time for that.
Yeah. I love David Lynch. But that's not his movie. The studio jacked it up, and he's very on the record saying that he hates it for that reason.
Wow. That sounds like an easy out.
Yeah, it's also very not him. When you watch it, you're like, this is... Kel MacLachlan is in it, and that's the only connection to Denis. Also, Sting is in that movie. Isn't that weird?
Isn't that
Patrick Stewart plays Gurney.
Did you freaking know that Sting was supposed to do the soundtrack for The Emperor's New Groove? And you know, like
I feel like I had heard that.
Tarzan,
Phil Collins,
his Phil Collins. Yeah. They were trying to do the exact same thing, but instead of like a Tarzan story, they wanted to do like an Incan Empire story. I think it was called Kingdom of the Sun.
Interesting.
Was the original thing. There's a documentary that exists, but got pulled by Disney, and I think you can find a ripped version of it on YouTube.
Grip it and rip it.
And it talks about it, like the whole storyline is different, and there was a whole soundtrack that Sting spent like a year working on.
Wow.
Because he was gonna do the Phil Collins Tarzan thing, and he wrote all this music for the movie, and they didn't use any of it.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
What a fun movie fact.
What a fun movie.
Okay.
But yeah, everyone, thanks for listening to the show. This has been our thoughts on Dune. We both said yes, and maybe you will too. Go see it and tell us. Mm-hmm. How can you tell us? Good question. You can go to Instagram. You can go to Instagram at Cinema Lounge Pod on Instagram, as well as cinemaloungepod@gmail.com. I'm at mparish_art on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. And that's MPARISH. Ben doesn't really use social media, so if you want to talk to Ben,
I purged.
What's your address, Ben? So they can come and talk to you. Then Ben said his real address. So, I'm cutting that out. Do I have to? Is that real? Do I have to blur that now?
Send me mail. That is real. Send me mail.
Darn it.
You can send me a letter.
Now I have to bleep it because people are going to show up to your house.
Send me a letter.
You're a bad person.
People are not that weird.
If this show gets big, people will absolutely hear that and go to your house.
A very large if.
Yes. When?
But
thanks for listening to the show, everyone. It's been a good time. We'll talk about another thing in a couple weeks. What will it be? I don't know. Maybe Cowboy Bebop, maybe The Witcher.
Yeah, either of those things sound good.
Yeah, because Bebop would be good because that would be kind of recent on our minds.
Yeah.
We'll see.
People will know less about it, probably.
I have a feeling after the success of Squid Game that Cowboy Bebop might pop off.
Interesting.
And I'd be excited about that because then if I could be like Spike Spiegel for Halloween and it wouldn't be weird because it's mainstream now.
Wow.
That'd be cool.
Nerd culture into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Hacking the mainframe.
But okay, everyone. Thanks for listening. I've been Marshall.
And I've marshaled Ben.